Welcome to the Angel Rewatch, a spoiler-free retrospective podcast on Angel. I'm William.
And I'm Derek, and this is a podcast for Forgiving, originally airing April 15th, 2002, written by Jeffrey Bell. Fred and Gunn are looking for Wesley in his apartment. They can't believe that Wesley will betray them and Angel so easily, and there has to be some kind of reason or answer. They're also particularly concerned about finding Wesley before Angel does, because, he'll kill him. As Gunn and Fred leave the apartment empty-handed, Fred calls Wesley's cell phone, which rings in the park nearly 20 feet away, where Fred is standing, but she can't hear it. Oh, and Wesley is there too, with his neck wound already scabbing over. So yeah, that's the thing that happens. Fred and Gunn come back to the Hyperion and find out from Lauren that Connor is gone with Holtz. Gunn refuses to believe it, but his disbelief is interrupted by Angel, who is determined to get to Cortos and save Connor. Fred and Gunn immediately jump on this plan because it doesn't involve killing anyone, or at least anyone they like. Unfortunately, it's about as successful as Gunn and Fred's efforts to find Wesley. They can't decipher any of the ancient languages without Wesley, and they can't decipher Cordelia's filing system without Cordelia. Fred goes to call her in Mexico, but Angel stops her. He says Cordelia will be coming back from her vacation with presents for Connor, and Angel wants Connor to be there when she gets back. Angel stares helplessly around the office after this, and says it's not working, and leaves. Thinking that he's about to kill Wesley, Gunn and Fred run out after him. Wesley, meanwhile, is being discovered by a helpless homeless man until the hobo realizes that Wesley is flush with cash. He robs Wesley and drags his body out of sight. Oh, and Wesley twitches and moans to let us know that he's alive. So yeah, that's the thing that happens. Angel is in Hyperion when Lauren comes in and tells him that there's no way to go to Cortos. It's not a matter of opening a portal, it's literally ripping through the fabric of reality. Cortos is the darkest of the dark magics, and not only should Angel not do it, but he has nowhere near the right amount of resources. Angel then takes Lauren up to his destroyed room to show that he does, because he's keeping Linwood. Lauren watches horrified as Angel threatens to torture Linwood. Linwood, being the coward he is, though, has Angel call Lila. Linwood tells Lila to give Angel whatever he wants when he shows up. Angel goes to Wolfram Hart, and Lila takes him to the White Room, which is the biggest mysterious place that only the most important people go to at Wolfram Hart. Inside the White Room is the creepiest little girl you ever did see. The girl tells Angel Sajan's whole backstory. He was a chaotic force of evil in medieval times, and they, whoever they are, like trouble, but they don't like chaos, so they made Sajan incorporeal. Angel demands that they make Sajan corporeal again, and the girl gives them a ritual to do so. Justine is doubling down on the mission to kill Angel now that Holtz is gone. Fred and Gunn somehow find the hideout and interrogate her. Justine acts all tough and aloof and nauseating, but does tell them that Holtz slit Wesley's throat. She then has the rest of Holtz's army attack them, and Gunn is quickly overwhelmed. Gunn has a knife to her throat, and Justine, remembering her slicing Wesley, lets them both go. At the Hyperion, Lauren warns Angel against performing this dark ritual, but he doesn't listen. Angel doesn't even pause when Lila tells him that he needs human blood to complete it. But Lila grabs the knife and makes the look as if she's going to go after Linwood before she slices her own hand. Meanwhile, Gunn and Fred are searching for dumpsters for Wesley's diary. Fred finds them, and together they pore over the notes for clues. Together they discover Wesley's growing fear and paranoia, and the prophecy that the father will kill the son. Angel says the incantation, and there's a cyclone in the lobby completing the wish roll, but Sajan doesn't appear. Angel is more angry and frustrated than ever, but Sajan has actually appeared across town, causing some kind of car accident. Lila gets a call telling Angel about it, and he goes to rush off. Fred and Gunn show up at just that moment, and Fred stops Angel in his tracks by telling him the prophecy. Angel's somewhat shaken, but tells Fred it's a lie, and he says he never hurt someone he cares about. Then he tells her to get out of his way. Outside the Hyperion, Justine and Holtz's army attack. Angel quickly dispatches the Nameless Ones, and then makes quick work of Justine as well. He knocks her down, and she goes to defend herself, expecting further attack, but Angel's already gone. Fred and Gunn come outside just in time to see Justine peel out of the Hyperion in Wesley's car, and they follow her. Angel goes to the car crash site and picks up Sajan's blood. Justine ends up going to Sajan's home, thinking of all the great time she spent with Holtz. All the ritual torture, and gravely whispers. Fred and Gunn show up in the doorway, and Justine realizes that everything Holtz told her was a lie. When Justine tells Fred and Gunn that Wesley must be dead, there are punches thrown, but it all pales in comparison to Sajan, because he shows up and really starts kicking ass. Luckily, Angel arrives just before any of the humans' heads are really smashed. Shazan tells Angel that it was never really about him, but Connor. He tells Angel that there was a prophecy that said Connor would kill him, and Sajan went back in time and rewrote the prophecy so it would say that Angel would kill Connor, blah, 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 blah. Basically, the whole thing's a fake just to throw Sajan off. And he's been playing everyone the whole time. So there's more punchy-punchy, and Sajan throws Angel on the table ready to stake him, but Justine arrives back with an urn and captures Sajan in it. She then tells them where she left Wesley's body. The short of it is this: Wesley's somehow still alive, but not where the hobo left him. So I guess some other vagrant found him and took his clothes or something. Anyway, Fred and Gunn find him in the morning and call Angel to the hospital. Angel goes into the hospital room and tells Wesley that he understands. He knows why he did what he did. Angel just wants to make sure that Wesley knows that Angel didn't turn evil, though. That this is Angel talking now, not Angelus. When Wesley nods his understanding, Angel proceeds to smother him, screaming that he will kill him. The strongest orderlies ever burst into the hospital and managed to drag Angel off of Wesley as he screams dementedly that he will kill Wesley. And that's the end of the episode. Fun times.
Yes.
And very long.
That was a heck of a recap.
Well, there wasn't really anything I cut out. All of it was kind of important.
Well, it's all, we have to tie up everything that happened. Well, not everything, but the majority of what happened last week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if I watched this when it first aired, if there was the unbelievable break in between.
Mm-hmm. The break of more than a month. Which explains a lot of the stopping and talking about things when we really shouldn't be stopping and talking about things.
Right. It kind of slowed the pace down a bit. I do think the episode, though, was still able to keep some degree of the tension just because of having Fred and Gunn's conversations in particular with them desperate to find Wes before Angel does. I thought that kind of worked.
Well, I really like the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, well, I do really like all of the Angel and Fred and Gunn scenes, and Lauren's, I guess Lauren's upset, but he's more trying to control the situation than actually letting his emotions override him. But when it's the core group being sad about Connor and Wesley's betrayal, I like that. It's just... what I really don't like is the Shahjahan and Justine parts. And then I understand why they have to stop, but it did bother me that there are multiple times where Angel is on his mission for revenge and then has to stop and listen to someone else. Someone explains something to him so the audience knows what's going on, and I think that kind of hurts the pacing a bit. Even though I understand why it's there, it's not terrible. It did take me out a little bit.
Yeah, I understand that. And I don't think you'll hear many people argue about the Justine storyline.
Well, no. I wouldn't count out that there's some fans of Justine, but we have not encountered them.
Okay, plus or minus, which one has more fans, Lindsay or Justine?
Well, I think Lindsay does.
Okay.
I thought you were going to ask who has more fans, Kate or Justine, because they are the same person. Except worse. Because Justine... Okay, we might as well just get it out. The reason... Justine is terrible because she has no discernible personality. And they really want to convince you that she does. And I will be honest that when she comes back and tells the rest of Holt's army that we're going to go... She lies and said that this was the plan all along, and we're going to go after Angel. that was somewhat exciting to me. And then I remembered I know nothing about this woman. And then the rest of the episode, she reverts back to her snarling, angry, vampires kill my sister, so that means I just get to be angry all the time, and that's justified, blah, 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 blah. She's exhausting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I didn't like that the episode was trying to make you feel for her or sympathize with her in some ways. We don't know anything about her. We don't know anything about random cult people.
Well, they're not really. That's not an issue.
There's soldier villains, whatever. But there's no stakes there. You know what I mean? There's no drama.
I mean, her losing Holtz is just, for her, is just as real a loss as Angel losing Connor, and they treat it as such, but I have no investment in that relationship at all. She was, until this episode really, a prop for Holtz to use, and she was an effective prop, because I think we all like Holtz, or at least think he's an interesting character, but she is not a character. She's a thing that Holtz used, and this show used, and now they want to convince you that she has some kind of pathology and personality and history, and she doesn't, and I don't care.
The one scene that I would argue does do a decent job with her is when Gunn and Fred confront her the first time at Holtz's lair. Like, Fred...
It's decent.
I think Fred talking about her, like, oh, you're killing everybody, that'll make you happy, and then her, like, the blank stare that she gives Fred, and she's like, oh, there is no happy for you. I thought that was actually surprisingly effective.
I mean, there is... I don't want to see her ever again, and I don't honestly remember if we do. But there is a character in there, it just hasn't come out.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting idea with her. It just seems like the show thinks they've already established her, and they haven't.
Right, and they're not trying to, like, have any kind of redemption for her or anything. I found it really strange, like, her, like, saying, her freaking out about the knife to the throat. I don't know exactly where the show wants to go and how they want you to actually feel about Justine, or is her getting the urn at the end?
I think it's all
trying to get redemption. Like,
it's her guilt that they do throughout the episode is all just to set up that moment, because they had set up that Holtz has this urn, and
right.
They definitely want. Because while I have mostly mixed feelings about Shah-Jahan, I do like that he really just rips into Angel and would have killed him if Justine doesn't come in.
Right.
So there's that. So I think that is the extent of what they do, and for what it's worth, I think they do an okay job in making me believe that she will take the urn and also tell them where Wesley is, even though they really shouldn't need to find out where. They shouldn't have to need someone to tell them. They should be able to find his body easily, but for whatever reason, I know for what reason, but God, that is just so stupid that they don't find Wesley. Because let's talk about it.
Okay.
Wesley gets slapped. Well, you want to talk about the fact that there's no way that Wesley should be alive.
Oh, no, he should completely have bled out hours ago. He should be in a pool of his own blood.
I will say, looking back on that scene when we watched it last week, it does seem like a shallow cut when she slices his throat.
Okay,
I'm not disagreeing that he should probably bleed out, but they did kind of make an effort to make it look not so fatal. Because she does just barely, and this could just be because they don't actually slice Alexis Stanislav's throat, but she kind of grazes over his neck.
Oh, so he got a paper cut.
Yeah, maybe. That's why it stabbed so easily.
And that's why he collapsed, clenching his throat.
I mean, it was the shock. He's had a rough He's not sleeping well. He loses a little bit of blood. That's why he deliriously goes into the park instead of the houses that are all around him.
Yeah, he got sleepy and wanted to take a nap first. That's
okay,
clearly
so that's really what bothers me, is that he got stabbed on the street, or at least around the street, because he was by the car. Justine comes up, she slices him and steals the car. And then he apparently got up from that and walked into the park and not back into his apartment building, or his neighbor's building, or whatever, and collapsed by that tree. And then the hobo comes, and which is just, why is that scene even in there? Because they already established that Gunn and Fred are terrible hide-and-seekers and can't find anybody. The hobo hides Wesley behind a bush for some reason. I don't get that at all, because he takes his money. It's not like Wesley's going to do anything.
Well, is the hobo wanting him to die?
Well, the hobo seems kind of concerned, and then he finds the money and leaves him. I guess he's covering his tracks, but really it's not like Wesley's going to finger the hobo in a lineup and the police are going to get the money back, whatever.
Right.
But no, so he hides him behind that bush, and then later they go back to that scene and Wesley is not behind that bush when they're looking for him at the end of the episode. So where did he go?
I'm guessing someone else actually did work and actually found him and took him to the hospital.
Is that it? I thought Fred and Gunn actually end up finding him.
No, I think Fred and Gunn start searching the hospitals for him.
Okay.
And they find him at the hospital.
Well, Lauren is calling the hospitals.
Okay.
And they have to... Angel has to leave because the sun is coming up. So I did not rewatch the episode, so that might be in there. If it is, that's really kind of the least of the Wesley is alive problems and what's going on there.
And I don't want to nitpick the scene to death and we are
done that.
doing, but
that ship has sailed.
I actually found what was more annoying was there was an earlier scene where they cut to his body, where he is motionless, staring at the camera.
When the phone is ringing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why can't they hear the phone? They should shut up when the phone is ringing.
I mean, maybe it's just a loud truck. But in any case, he's motionless, staring at the camera. It's total manipulation to go, oh, he's dead.
Yes.
And then we get the hobo scene, and then we get the moaning or whatever that, oh, he's still alive.
Well, I guess there's really no other way to read that scene that he's dead, and it is what we end the act on, but it is odd that they come back and pretty early on in that hobo scene, he's twitching, and the hobo makes a comment about him being alive.
Right.
So I don't know. There's a whole bunch of mess with that if it's not the final scene, and we don't really have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Do you want to get the last negative part out, which would be Sajan? Which is not totally negative. Yeah,
Sajan's not terrible.
No.
He's just not very exciting.
Well, it's a continuing problem.
I think, is it meta to have the White Room little girl say you want to have something you can sink your teeth into for the show purposes? We need to have a fight scene, so let's make Sajan corporeal.
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
The little girl.
She's super creepy.
Yeah, she is super creepy. Yeah, that scene.
I liked the kill her, and he immediately goes to grab her, and she starts giggling.
Mm-hmm.
That was really creepy.
The giggling's creepy. I don't like how brief Angel going to kill Lila is, not because I doubt that Angel would do it. It's just for dramatic purposes that it happens confusingly. He can still do it quick, and they can still make that be a big moment, but it's really kind of anticlimactic when he does grab her neck, which is kind of the point. But also, it should be mentioned that Angel was willing to kill a human.
Yeah. As long as it meant he got his revenge. Well, so... Oh, okay. Well, I guess we should get into Sajan first.
Yeah.
Before I ask my question for Angel. But
I have a lot of thoughts on Angel. And most of them I think we can save for feedback, but...
Okay.
Let's talk about Sajan.
How do you feel about getting his more complete backstory?
I didn't need it. It's there. It's on a clear sound stage. It is a thing that exists, and I have no feelings one way or the other.
Right. I mean,
the question I have is the little girl who apparently has a name, but I don't think it is a name that is ever given in the show. I think that might be some kind of filled in with the comics. But so the little girl, who is she? She is not because when I first saw this, I just assumed she was the avatar for the senior partners. But I'm getting the sense now that she is not on Rewatch. And I'm getting that sense because no one actually says that, which you think they would. And she also says that whoever they is, doesn't like chaos, which doesn't seem to fit with what Holland told Angel in the elevator. Or maybe it does, and it's just Wolfenheart wants control, wants the pulse on that action, just needs to have some bit of control. As long as it's their agents making the chaos, they're fine.
Right. They're the ones, they just want power. They don't care about...
Is it that? Is it just that Sajan wasn't under their sway, so therefore that's why they took him eliminated him from the competition, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay,
struck him from the equation. Yeah, something that couldn't be controlled, so that they couldn't actually.
It just seems weird that she says we don't like chaos, but Holland kind of said that that's their just main goal, anarchy.
Yeah, I think I think I read it as she's some sort of representative of the senior partners. I don't know exactly how much more we'll actually get to know about that, but.
And I don't think we really should get to know much more.
No, I like that scene for how brief and kind of how little they explain.
The less they explain about the powers that be and the senior partners, the better I find it.
Right.
Okay, but we're really just talking about everything surrounding Sajan and not Sajan. So my opinion really is about the same as his backstory. And he is the thing that exists, and he's the thing that took Connor away. But I don't have that many opinions about him because I don't find him particularly interesting.
Right. It's weird because he's getting to play the dual role of he's supposed to be the guy that was pulling the strings, but then he kind of gets downgraded to being the soldier villain that Angel has to fight, which is kind of interesting to me.
Well, I don't know if he gets downgraded. He is
in terms of the story. I'm not saying.
Well, I don't think he gets down. I mean, he gets downgraded in the sense that he's at a urn now, and he's not getting out until someone releases him. But if he wasn't in that urn, Angel really can't win.
No, they do a good job of making him threatening. Even with the flashbacks, they're like, yeah, they just basically were wrecking the world or whatever, and that's why we took them out. But yeah, it's not even close. Like, Angel's trying to fight him, and Sajan's just kind of taking him to town. Yeah. Hulk ragdolling him. I think that worked. I didn't have any emotional attachment to the reveal that he was behind the not a prophecy.
Well, neither did I, but we've already talked about the fact that it's been obvious for a while now that the prophecy isn't real.
Right, but we didn't exactly know.
Yeah, and I think that might have. I can't. To be honest, I can't remember how I felt about the prophecy before. I know that I felt more sympathetic to Wesley first time around, and I guess that means that I believe the prophecy somewhat. I think that just might be a symptom of it being a rewatch. And because I did remember that the prophecy is fake. I didn't remember the exact explanation of how it was fake.
Right.
And during this episode, the pieces started to click in my memory, and I did remember that Sajan went back and rewrote it, but didn't actually write it. He just changed things.
So, is this... Okay, so he can jump through time, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, he doesn't exist on this plane, is what he said. He exists out of time.
So...
And space.
This is going to be very weird, but so is it the Holtz thing wasn't working, so then he went and fixed the prophecy?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that no. My simple answer is no. I think he always went back in time.
But that's a weird, very specific thing.
Okay,
to get
well,
Wesley.
that's even weirder. And it comes up in feedback, but while we're on the subject now, is why doesn't he bring Holtz back when Darla is a human? Or why didn't he stop Darla becoming a vampire? Or why didn't he find a way to interfere that Connor was never conceived? Why does he bring Holtz back on the smallest deadline ever? Basically the day that Darla goes into labor.
Right, and I think that's more of just they needed very little dialogue to explain that away, and it would feel perfectly fine. Because if you have like this thing where like, I think even I don't know.
They could have really just said, and they've said before that Wolfram Hart won't kill Angel because he's involved in these prophecies, and you can't really interfere with a prophecy if it's a true prophecy. So maybe it is that Connor has to be born. I don't know, because that's the whole weird thing about it. I do think it's significant that he doesn't write a prophecy; he just changes the translation.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
They could have explained it away very easily if you had like, these are events that have to happen.
The more that we talk about it, the more I'm getting, my feelings are becoming less mixed and more negative.
Right. I mean, it's complicated when you have a villain that, like in that way. How come he can't go back in time and fight the seed or fight Wolfram Hart to make sure that he stays corporeal, or you know what I mean? Like there are a lot of things that involving time travel can have a negative effect on your storyline. Mm-hmm. But I do think, I mean, having him non-corporeal means that he can only really whisper or, like talk to people. Like he has to literally manipulate people that way. So I think it's an interesting concept of him like changing the prophecy so it read this way, but I don't exactly understand how this was achieving his ultimate goal unless he did it after Holtz failed or Holtz went unruly so that he then focused on Wesley. Because how else is this really going to play out? It's oddly specific to get what he wants out of it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a better explanation than what was provided. It can fit. I just thought that this was the plan all along, and that's the way they really seem to portray it. The other question really is if he is incorporeal, what could Connor have done? I don't know. That's a whole other can of worms that we don't need to get into. But I don't know why he's so concerned about dying if no one can touch him. But then there's also the thing that maybe Connor would have developed some kind of superpower as being a human child or supposedly human child of 2 vampires.
Right, and we saw, like, this. Obviously, there's ways to make him solid. Mm-hmm. They had this dark ritual that did it, so
yeah,
maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, that's a whole another issue for another episode.
So can we talk about good things now?
Yeah, I mean, we've wasted all this time on the bad. But, yeah, we can talk about Angel and Fred and Gunn. I mean, really, the reason I want to talk about the bad thing is that feedback is pretty positive. But if you want to talk about something specifically, then we can do that. But feedback mostly touches on the good things, so that's why the podcast has been so overwhelmingly negative, because I think we actually posted like this episode.
Right. I think I appreciated the Fred and Gunn scenes, just getting their perspective on things, because they're still slightly pro-Wesley.
Well, Fred definitely is.
Fred definitely is. Which is... How did you read that?
Well, okay, so it is interesting, and it does come on feedback. The Gunn has this look of something when she's espousing her belief that she can't believe that Wesley would do this. But I don't read that as she has feelings for Wesley. I read that as Fred's just inherent belief in the goodness of people, and Gunn reads it as feelings, which I do find that suggestion kind of interesting, that Gunn is sort of insecure about his relationship with Fred. Yeah.
I mean, it was interesting. I didn't know exactly. I think I was picking up more on how Gunn was reacting to Fred. Mm-hmm. So then I assumed that that's what they were trying to insinuate with the feelings.
I really hope they're not. I mean, I hope they're not insinuating that she has some kind of feelings for Wesley, because we've already talked about that. They definitely want you to think that Gunn thinks she has some sort of feelings.
Okay.
But I hope that it is all just in Gunn's head.
I really, yeah, me too. I mean, it'll feel manufactured.
Well,
that's the kind of
the whole Wesley Fred thing has felt manufactured up to this point. So
yeah,
why change it now? But no, I really do like that they can't believe that Wesley would do this, and they're just so desperate to find anything that clears his name. And
right, I like getting the different degrees. Like, we have Fred, obviously, who's so desperate to find that there was something else going on, and then Gunn is more negative, but he is more negative, but he also is not anywhere near Angel level. Right, but I really like. Okay, well, one that Gunn going, we need to find Wesley before Angel does, because he'll kill him, was the most believable, like, put the most threat into the episode.
Yes,
for me,
because I genuinely believe, besides even before we get to the last scene, that Angel would kill him.
Right, and then I like Fred going, where Gunn says some little sarcastic thing about, he didn't answer the first 100 times, some little side remark, and then Fred goes, "You want me to stop trying?" And then immediately that kind of sobers him up, and he goes, "No, keep trying."
Yeah. I mean, it's very in character for all their reactions. The fact that Gunn wants to believe something good, but he is kind of cynical.
Yeah.
Like, Gunn has a very good heart, I think we have established so far, but he always comes up against this kind of cynicism that the world is not the way that he wants it to be. And Fred sees good in everyone, and these are the people that rescued her from her hellish life for 5 years, so she wants to see the good in all of them. And then Lorne is trying to rein everybody in and trying to be the host, and Angel is just gone.
Right.
As you would imagine. Well, I don't want to talk about it. I really just want to say the Angel. My theory about Angel and why I really like Angel in this episode until feedback, but you had a question.
I had a question, and it was about Angel. There's the scene where he says, "Forget it, this isn't working," and he runs out, and they immediately, Fred and Gunn say that it's him going on the rampage path. Basically, my question is, was his plan to make Sajan corporeal, is that because he's trying to find a way into Kortoth, or that he's already accepted that he can't get to Connor and he just wants revenge?
I think a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Okay. Like, it wasn't...
I think he wants to punch something.
Yeah.
I think he won't stop at anything to get into Kortoth, and let's be honest, Angel's not a really good negotiator. So I think he wants to make Sajan corporeal so he can punch him and torture him into getting what he wants, which is what he does with Linwood.
Right.
And it works. I mean, his plan of threatening people and getting what he wants has worked so far, so why stop now?
Yes, but this time, like, the past 2 episodes, his empty threats have not been that empty.
No. He would have stuck that thing in Linwood's eye.
Yeah, I felt very uncomfortable.
His threats are empty a lot of the times, and we've joked about that before, but no, he would have done that. And it doesn't bother me that he keeps making these threats, and he doesn't really do anything about it, because there are times when the threat isn't empty, and it's usually with cowards like Wolfram Hart lawyers that just won't call his bluff anyway.
Right.
Because Joseph has commented several times about the fact that when is it going to stop being effective that Angel threatens he's going to break every bone in Wolfram Hart's employee's body, and they buckle, and he doesn't actually hurt them. Right.
They can get away with some acts of violence with Angel. I mean, he is a violent person, but like, yes. if he would have like broken a finger or whatever with Linwood,
yeah,
it's a degree of not evil, but still bad.
I wasn't even talking about that. I'm just talking about the crutch of Angel threatens them, and that's how they move the story along.
Right.
Where Angel actually hasn't really physically harmed a hard employee in quite some time. Maybe since he chopped off Lindsay hand, but I think there might have been something in between that.
He might have
Well, he did throw Linwood down the stairs. Which was a darkly comic moment for me. Where he just lets him drop.
He's like, okay, off to go find Sajan.
Mm-hmm.
I did like getting Linwood's like true colors.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
we really got his true colors when Angel came in and said, "You're going to set up a college fund." This was more of that.
It was more of that, and I also really like that Lila picked up on it.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I really like Lila seeing Linwood vulnerable and I don't want to say getting off on it, but definitely noticing that and not being displeased with that information.
Right. The slow stalking with the knife towards him. And I thought that worked really well.
She was afraid of Holland. I do not think she's anywhere near afraid of Linwood.
I can't remember. I mean, have we seen, like, earlier, was she ever afraid of Linwood?
I mean, she definitely... Well, Lila always pretends like she's not afraid of anyone, but there are times where you can tell that she knows she's gambling with her life and she's pleased that she didn't lose it. I think she's walked... Early on, she was more respectful of Linwood. As time has gone on, that respect has kind of eroded.
Right. So that was... I mean, I thought that worked fairly well. There are other things that I would love to talk about, which I have a feeling we'll talk about some of them in feedback and probably some more in favorite moments. I liked Lauren trying to be the... Basically, he was being...
Cordelia?
Cordelia or Wes from last season, like the person that was trying to keep him away from true darkness.
Yeah.
I liked him just basically being his conscience and trying to drag him back.
Well, I wouldn't even say he's being Cordelia and Wesley from last season. I think he's being Lorne from this season. Or just Lorne in general. He really is trying to be the host again and to get everyone together and he's trying to set Angel on his path, and Angel is not being set on any path. It's the one that he wants to go down. And he doesn't get overly... Lorne, obviously, I think, cared about Connor, but he's the one that's the least emotional about his kidnapping, or at least he doesn't show it.
Right. I mean, it would be nice to have... I mean, we get... Practically every character gets a small moment to react to the fact that Connor is gone.
Mm-hmm. I think by trying to keep things together, that seems the way that Lorne would react, that he is trying to just not even think about it and try to do what he thinks is right.
Yeah. It would be a nice touch to just add a little more depth to him, just to see, like, have a small moment where it's just him, that we see him have some sort of reaction.
I know I wouldn't disagree with that, but I don't. It doesn't bother me that there's not one.
Yeah, I guess it's true. I have a feeling we'll talk more about the last moment.
Well, yeah.
Feedback.
I mean, if we're moving on to feedback, the first 3 comments are all about the last moments.
Okay.
Just do that now. We can do that now.
Okay, sounds good.
And we're just going to take these all at one, because almost everyone commented on the last moment, as you would expect. So, first up, we have Canham, who said, "I'm now fully sick of Justine. She's gone from Cypher to irritating in a few short weeks, and it's time for her to be done. So why does Sajan materialize in the street? Does summoning magic have a sense of humor? Okay, enough silliness. Let's talk about the best episode ending I've seen in a long, long time. As a relatively new dad, I have a 2-year-old daughter. I completely buy what Angel expresses in the end in his wonderfully calm and then scary rant at Wesley. I'm a pacifist, but if anyone kidnapped my little girl... But I think we saw some pretty clear evidence that Angel's going to forgive Wesley. Stay with me here. There is no way a few orderlies should have been able to drag him off Wesley. That must mean that he let them drag him away. Why would he let them? Unless you may say he may still want to kill Wesley later, and he just realized he can't do it with so many people around, and he'll bide his time and strike when there are less conference. I say thee nay. If Angel's so lost in rage that he's willing to attack Wesley like this, with Fred and Gunn around, with lots of hospital staff around, and his tirade ain't exactly subtle, then he's just going to go ahead and do it. But he doesn't do it quick, and there are other options to kill Wesley quickly once he's properly terrorized, like snapping his neck, so why doesn't he do it? That must mean that Angel really doesn't want to kill him. I think he only, at least subconsciously, wants to scare Wesley nearly to death, and then he gave it an 80. And then do you want to take Robin's 1 sentence?
Sure. Robin says, I was impressed with David Boreanaz's yelling at the end. It was natural and scary sounding.
All right, and then lastly about the final scene, we have Kathleen, who said, now that last scene, that was scary and incredibly well acted, and sometimes we forget Angel has a bit of Angel's dark side in him. So calm and collected, and then with this split second, completely different guy. I don't believe he truly wanted to kill Wes. He could have snapped his neck as quickly as Angelus did to Jenny Calendar. Instead, he tried to smother him. Scary, yes, but what after Wes did, he still can't bring himself to kill a human. So thank everybody. Do you think he wanted, subconsciously or consciously, he doesn't want to kill Wesley? Just scared the bejeebus out of him.
I mean, part of me wants to explain away him getting dragged away.
Part of me wants to believe what everyone else does, that he doesn't really want to kill Wesley. I don't buy it. I'm sorry.
There's an argument to be said that, like, he's going to have to live with what he's done.
Mm-hmm. But I don't see. I just don't. I don't see. I think he would have killed him. I think immediately afterwards, Angel would have deeply regretted it.
Maybe it's the fact that people showed up that he lets them kind of drag him off of it.
And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. There are a lot of people on Angel at the end.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, it is, those two orderlies do a lot of the work, so that's the guy. But there's like a whole crowd of people that drag him away. He's not Superman strong. He's at least maybe like twice as strong as a very strong man, and those do look like some pretty big guys who drag him off. So it is conceivable that enough people could have dragged him off Wesley.
And he did just get the bejesus beat out of him by Saja.
So I don't want to say that he lets them drag him away. I think he is dragged away. And I think it is more about... I think he would eventually kill him, I'm going to be honest. But I think it is more about scaring him than just the sweet release of snapping his neck. He doesn't want it to be that easy for Wesley.
Yeah, I think it's more of a... not an empty threat, but like you need to you need to understand this is Angel, not Angelus. Well, and this is me never forgiving you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I really like about this, because as much as just Kathleen says that this is Angelus, I don't think this is Angelus at all. I think this is the human side of Angel completely, and that's why I think this is what I wanted to talk about. This is the scariest I've ever found Angel, because I'm reading this as completely his human side coming out.
Right.
It's not any bit the vampire side. The only time we see Vamp face is about halfway through the fight with Saja when he's getting his butt kicked. And I think that's just him tapping into the vampire to try to win. But even then he can't do it, because I think this is all human Angel.
And that's what makes it so effective. It's that raw human emotion that he's so calm and collected, and it just this like bubbles out of him. There's a couple of times in the episode where we see the things that are underneath the surface kind of start peeking out, but this was like the first time that he actually got to let that erupt.
Well, I think I still think when he is, as like Kanem said, because I know I was glad that Kanem brought up that he has a daughter, because I know that we have a couple feedbackers who have small children, and I wanted to get that kind of perspective, that I think when he kills Wesley, it's not the darkness in him, it is his fatherly affection and human soul for Connor that makes him want to do it. Yeah. It is not the fact that he is Angelus. It is that that Wesley stole his son, and his son is now forever gone from him, and that is Wesley's fault. And that's why he is upset. Because we talked about before that the best thing that Connor really did for the show and Angel is to make him more human. And even now that he's gone, it's still there, because this is not Angelus. It's not Dark Angel. This is Angel who has lost his son.
Yeah. And it's the rest of the episode, like, has this weird balance of, like, Angel being in denial, and people not wanting to accept it. So there's this weird air of whether or not we should accept it or move on. Even the scene before this scene where we have Lorne and Angel talking in his office is a little awkward. Like, do you really think he's dead?
Let's talk about that. The obvious reason of those scenes being there is misdirection for he goes to kill Wesley, but why does he seem so upset that... I guess it is Wesley. He does say he, which is a little bit
ambiguous. He could be talking about Connor.
But, so, do you think that's just misdirection and it really doesn't mean anything? Or is it that he can't be dead because I want to do it?
That's how I read it.
Okay. Because I'm reading it mostly as misdirection.
I mean, it mostly is misdirection, but I also wanted to just tweak it. Yeah, I think that it's definitely there just so that we think that we're going to have this nice reconciliation at the end.
Because the episode is called Forgiving. But he doesn't. Tries to murder him.
I mean, it is one of the most effective last scenes that we've got in a really long time.
I will, not to just bring the party down, but I am a little bit concerned about the future, what the future holds, because Wesley deserves to be punished. There's no way. Like, I feel empathetic for him, but I am in no way sympathetic for what he has done. So he deserves to be punished, and he should probably be on his own for a while, but the fact that he was not killed off by that neck wound suggests that Wesley's going to be around for a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly how I feel about Wesley being on the show by himself, if I have to pretend like I don't know what happens.
Well, I would argue that the past couple episodes, he has been mainly by himself, and it has been the most interesting we've seen from him.
That is true.
So,
but I am a little bit nervous about the fact that when Angel does this, and I would doubt that for the rest of the series, or it might not even be the rest of the series, just however long they want to have Wesley on the show, that he is no longer a part of Angel Investigations, because I just don't see any way that he could come back that would be satisfying at this moment.
Right.
Now,
that would take
need a lot of work.
A lot of different circumstances. It is interesting that in the episode, they have moments that kind of talk about Wes's role in the group and how they don't have anyone they don't have anyone to fill that gap. Like, Fred's like, I've been trying to do the research, but I only speak English. I don't speak Gashundi, so...
when they take Wesley for granted that... And it is kind of thing that where the shows take Wesley for granted, like Wesley just reads a book and everything's fine, but it's Wesley that's been doing that the entire time.
Right.
And it's like no one else was... It is insane, actually, how many dead languages Wesley knows. He is a genius. Just talking about... If you really think about how many languages Wesley knows, like, he is out of this world smart. But I guess that's all watchers. But
I mean, you could have... I could envision a world where this show went, oh, now we have two smart characters, we can get rid of one of them.
But it's not even... I mean, they have... It is nice that they do have Fred to do something, but I do like that they firmly establish that she doesn't know. Wesley's expertise is not the same as hers. They are both smart, but they are different kinds of smart a little bit.
And I'm glad the show does that. It could so easily have gone the other way, and other shows, I feel like, have probably done that or would do that. Anyways.
We can... I think there's more coming up, obviously. And I think we've covered the Wesley side of things. At least Wesley is, as it concerns Angel trying to murder him.
Right.
All right.
So next up we have Joseph, who says, I thought this was a really good episode. It was a cool twist that Sajan was trying to fight his own prophecy, and I thought it was very effective to see Fred and Gunn trying to figure out why Wesley took Connor. For once, Fred's sugary goodness wasn't grating, and Gunn's friendship with both Wes and Angel really showed. And the twist at the end really paid off. Now some nitpicks. I thought Fred, Gunn, and Lauren gave Wes too much credit. Even given the prophecy, Wes should have talked to them. Angel promised Linwood that anything that happened to Connor would also happen to Linwood. I know he can't get to Kortoth, but if he doesn't at least throw Linwood into a hell dimension, he's going to lose credibility. Also, I realize he expects it from her, but Lila also deserves a good murdering. She fed him his own son's blood as part of the plan to kill Connor. If he doesn't take revenge for that, his threats are basically dead from here. Last, it seems like it would make sense to give Wes a chance to save Connor, then kill him later. No one is going to be more motivated than Wes, and who knows, maybe he can do it. So, thank you, Joseph.
It is a good point. I don't think it's in any way Angel's mind, but Wesley, from this point, I would imagine his storyline will be trying to make up for what he did, and if that is getting Connor back. And that could give him something to do that I'm not completely skeptical of. As of course I'm saying this as I actually know it happens, but pretend that I don't.
It would give him a small redemption arc, and that would be something significant enough
that he can do.
That Angel could forgive him.
That he could. It's something significant enough that he could do, that he can do on his own, and the show can continue as somewhat usual. And that we won't be able to forget that Connor's gone because Wesley's trying to do something about it.
I mean, I am concerned in a larger sense on the show that we introduced a baby.
And the baby got taken away.
Yeah, and the baby got taken away. Like, if you're going to introduce a new dynamic of the show, like, and the baby got taken away, I don't want it to go back to business as usual.
Well, I don't think it's going to go.
Should.
I would say that I think the show in formula is going to go back to business as usual just because that's the nature of network TV. But I think if it is the Angel just gets over the disappearance of his son, or that's something different. Like the tone might change, but I think the basic formula that someone will come. There has to be a Monster of the Week episode down, even though we don't have that many episodes left in the season. There has to be at least one, and I'm okay with that, as long as the emotions surrounding it are appropriate. If Angel is still upset and kind of closed off, or if he actually recovers from this better than we would expect.
I mean, as long as there are consequences to whatever happens, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I
understand.
It should be a significant. It is a significant moment.
And it's kind of unfair to talk about it because we don't.
We
really
know, all right.
Yeah,
but
we don't know from this episode, but I did bring it up just because of my concerns about Wesley's story. And this is kind of what Joseph's comment. This is kind of what I was talking about. Angel's empty threats to Wolfram and Hart lawyers, because they are empty threats. Even though I don't think these are.
I think Angel is just so gone by this moment that all he can focus on is Sajan. And then maybe since Sajan thing got resolved, maybe now he'll focus in on the other people that
I think
have betrayed him.
The reason he doesn't really do anything to him is because, like I said, if he was Angelus, I think he would be on a true murdering spree. The fact that he is Angel, his primary concern is Connor.
Right.
And getting Connor back. And there's really, I don't think it has so much to do with morality that he doesn't harm Linwood or Lila. It's just wasting time. There's really no reason to kill them at this point, so why waste my time doing that when my son is out there somewhere?
Yeah, and he might feel like the longer he waits, because the less time he has to actually.
This entire episode happens in, I don't know, maybe 5 hours, maybe.
Right.
Holtz leaves at nighttime, and then it goes to.
It's literally that whole
It's that whole night.
Yeah.
Into the next morning.
Well, I'm glad they have that, just so that even though it's unbelievable that Wes is still alive, that it's still all taking place in one day.
Mm-hmm. Well, not even one day. Maybe a few
couple
hours.
Yeah. He should so be dead.
Yeah, well, we don't need to talk about it anymore. Is there anything else that Joseph brought up that we did not talk about? I don't think so.
No. I like that. Yes, Fred wasn't grading for him this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think that actually did pay off. Well, it helps that we didn't have any characters go that, oh, she's so amazing.
It's amazing, Fred, that you believe in Wesley right now. Like, you are so cute believing in Wesley.
I think her goodness really, with her moment that she kind of accepts that Connor's gone.
Well, that could be
helped.
If you want to talk about that in the next comment, I do believe it is mentioned what the scene you are referring to is.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right, so next up we had Alicia, who said, awesome moments, Angel kidnapping Linwood, Lila walking over to Linwood with a knife, Linwood thinking Lila was going to stab him, Angel dragging Linwood up the stairs, and Lorne calling Linwood a creep. Angel let go of the chair, and Linwood goes down the stairs and breaks the chair. Fred hits Justine. Sajan saying, do I look like I need more skin problems? Lorne calling Lila the lady lawyer. Oh my god, Angel tried to kill Wesley. Sad moment, Angel almost crying when he said Cordelia is going to have presents for Connor and Connor will be here. Fred crying about Connor going into a portal. So thank you, Elise. I believe that is the scene you were referring to.
That was the scene I was referring to.
Yes.
Because she is, like, Fred and Gunn are basically the most pure characters we have on the show. Yeah. So having her actually kind of have that kind of emotional reaction to it was nice to have, especially early on.
I really like how she describes the fear and the sensation of being sucked through a portal.
Right. And it's so... She has such a personal connection with that she would relate to it in that way.
Well, I really like the verbiage and the idea of being sucked into something and not knowing what's happening and not being able to hold on and just being at the mercy of this force and ending up somewhere that you have no idea. Which, honestly, I mean, Connor's probably going to be upset in the moment as a baby, but that trauma, I mean, really, he'll get over it. Because he's not going to remember it.
I feel like going through the portal will be the least of his concerns.
I mean,
going into the worst hell dimension imaginable.
There is that. But yeah, it's really, that moment is, not that Fred is making the moment about her, but that moment is more about Fred than it is about Connor.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about the Lila walking over to Linwood with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
I do... The Fred and Justine, the Justine scene where Fred and Gunn go, I do find it interesting. Well, I guess how Justine is already completely kind of broken, but she's still trying to be, like, physically violent.
Mm-hmm.
And how they are trying to resist that urge, even though she admits killing their friend.
I do find it immensely satisfying when Fred socks her in the face.
Right.
That's all I really have to say about it. I just find it satisfying.
It was. I did find so Gunn hits her and says, "Hey, stay down," and she goes, no, and immediately starts to try and fight him. I actually kind of found that satisfying from the Justine point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But
again, she is, and like Kate before her, she is an interesting idea that they clearly don't have a handle on. Like They keep telling us things about her, but there are things that have happened to her, not who she is as a person. Like the fact that her sister was killed by vampires, that isn't a character. That's a thing that happened to her. The fact that she hates vampires, that is her character. They don't do enough of the latter part. They just tell us these things about her, but don't go the extra mile into actually making her into a person.
Right. The most interesting things we have are in relation to her relationship with Holtz. And
still that's pretty surface level in a way. There's something there, and they could develop it, but the amount of screen time she gets suggests that we're supposed to be as empathetic to her losing Holtz as we are to Connor being gone. Not that we're supposed to be as sad, but we're supposed to understand it as much. And I do understand it, but it's nowhere near the level.
Right, and I also still find it annoying with her having the flashbacks of her slicing Wes's neck and what is our relationship, what is our emotions supposed to be with her?
And the other thing is that it just kind of bothers me that it was the fact that she's in love with him was thrown in the most sloppy, cliched way possible about an episode before when they fell on top of each other. And that is the only suggestion that exists at all, that there's a romantic connection between them.
Right.
And we're supposed to believe that she is upset because this man that she loves and wanted to spend the rest of her life with left, and we just got that thrown in one like half a second.
Right. I don't mind them having, like, connect the dots because we saw them spending a lot of time together, whatever.
Well, yeah. But the point is that
right.
there is a deeper relationship than has developed on screen, but it's not even applied. It's just kind of there. It's just not developed at all. Like, there is something to be saying about just letting you connect the dots, but I don't even think it's really there.
Well, I also...
Or it's not enough there to work fully for me.
Right, but there also might be more interesting from the fact that we don't see Holtz's side of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think Holtz cares about... Obviously, Holtz doesn't care about her as much as she cares about him.
Right, because he literally pushes her away. Which, I think that works, so, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, next up we have the rest of Kathleen's comment, and she says, "Hi guys, wow, what an ending. To the beginning, firstly, Fred's 100% belief that Wes took Connor for a reason wasn't a complete surprise. She might have chosen to be with Gunn, but the show still wants to allow Wes to be a bit of a thorn in their side that caused Gunn some jealousy despite him also wanting to believe in Wes. So now we know who was behind the prophecy, Sajan. Makes sense looking back that he was out to save himself, and it's a cool twist that Connor was the one destined to kill him. Wouldn't it have been better to bring Holt back before Angel got Darla pregnant to try and prevent that, especially when Wolfram and Hart brought her back as human? He must have known about the prophecy when he first met Holtz. Guess he didn't think of that. Justine deserved more of a beating from Gunn for what she's done. So, thank you, Kathleen." You mentioned it earlier in the podcast about why does it...
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about. We already really talked about it, but you brought it up, so I wanted to bring it up. So, apologies. But yeah, that wasn't even something I considered till I read Kathleen's comment about why Sajan chose this particular moment to bring Holtz back when conceivably he could have chosen any time in history. And he gives him the most dramatically interesting but also stupid time frame.
I have more theories that I can't say.
Okay, so there might be an explanation.
But if... Basically, how much does the time travel actually... is he in control of it? And more about what is destined, especially in regards to it being an actual prophecy. Mm-hmm. So, I can't comment more.
Okay. I would not doubt that, given the history of how true prophecies come to be, that we would get more. But it is... I'm not sure how I feel about in this particular episode how kind of plot holey it is.
Yeah. It feels kind of slapped together in that we needed a reveal. Mm-hmm. But if his plan A was Holtz... And then, since that didn't work out, plan B was he went back to change the prophecy, then that works for me, I guess, in a small degree.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about kind of the show's reaction to Fred and what is it trying to insinuate. But...
All right, we have a couple more comments on Sleep Tight, if there's nothing else.
No, we can go on.
Okay. So Lisa said the good. I love Angel and Connor scenes. They're so cute. Them all looking at Angel after he's thinking out loud. Angel's lines, "Daddy's here. You look like hell, not the fun one where they burn you with hot pokers for all eternity, but the hardcore one. I like nuns. How would a nun fly? Magic? Sworn enemy? Really? Have we met? Because I don't remember swearing. Come on, take it like a demon. Wesley being badass, meaning Holtz and Justine. My favorite scenes are Lauren's scenes. Lauren's story with stuffed animals to Connor. Lauren waking up squealing and kicking that guy in the face. So thank you, Alicia. Is there anything that you...
I really loved Lauren doing the high-pitched note and kicking the guy in the face.
Yeah.
That was immensely satisfying.
I did like Angel when he's in his... when he's
drunk on blood.
Yeah.
Talking about the flying nun. I don't know. It's goofy and weird, but whatever.
It was goofy and weird. Tonally didn't necessarily fit, but the episode got dark real fast.
Yeah. Anyway, so Joseph, I'm going to read it because it's a sentence. Joseph then commented, follow-up comments on Sit Tight said, in hindsight, I feel like the Low is deliberately messing with Wesley by predicting that the vampire will devour the son instead of killing him, which seems in character. Wesley warned us the hamburger was bad. So this is a good point in light of forgiving.
I don't know how old the Loa is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Is the Loa just reading... The translation of the prophecy is that the vampire will kill his son. And maybe I should have gone back and looked at it. I believe what he says is that it is certain...
That the vampire will devour his son is certain.
Yes.
I think it says something along those lines.
Which, I was going for maybe it was more ambiguous that the prophecy, the fact that the prophecy says that it is certain that the vampire will devour the son is different than it being certain. But I don't know. That might be a plot hole. I doubt it'll ever be really answered.
Him drinking his blood, is that
well, that is a good point, because he is devouring his son, technically.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I would need to re-watch the scene.
I don't even know if that's intentional, but that is a good point, that he did technically eat Connor. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like I said, I don't think it is a question that I don't think will ever be answered. I just don't see them going back to the talking hamburger.
Right, me neither. All right, so favorite moments and scores?
Okay. So I actually went with probably what some people are going to find surprising, but I found it's not the first scene, but it is close to the top with Angel in the empty, destroyed room staring at Connor's crib. And I did want to bring up that I have really been impressed with Dave Boreanaz's acting as it concerns Connor and Angel's relationship to Connor, because it's not like, obviously I believe his performance in other areas, but there is something about the way that he portrays Angel's love for Connor that feels much more tangible than any other relationship that Angel has on the show. And I think that is obviously significant, because Angel doesn't form relationships with people easily or really at all. And him staring at that crib and just the absence of Connor and what the charred crib represents of his failure, and he's able to do so much with just his look of despair. It really connected with me, and I kind of wish that the whole episode was nothing but Angel, but I understand that they have to serve other things than just Angel's grief.
Right. Yeah, there's something very genuine about that relationship, and that image is very striking. I'm glad there's how quiet it is in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And how the just kind of blank stare at the crib was very effective. I ended up going with Angel explaining why they shouldn't call Cordelia.
Mm-hmm.
That was...
Which you would have thought I would have gone with, but I didn't.
I did, mainly because it said Cordelia in the line of dialogue. And, I debated between this and the last moment, but this one really got to me because it was the first moment where, his emotions cracked through the surface. Mm. He wasn't this focused, badass, I'm out on a mission, that literally, even the way his voice cracks with, she's going to have presents for him, and he's going to be here. Him cracking was making me crack. And then I love how, he pauses and is kind of awkward and realizes the emotions are kind of getting to him. So he's like, this isn't working. I got to go. Mm-hmm. It's just a genuine emotional scene for me.
I really like that scene just because, and again, the idea that it is going to be so painful when Cordelia comes back.
Oh my God, I'm going to get wrecked.
And just that as an idea that all this has happened and the grief that he has that he's lost Connor, and then when Cordelia comes back, he's going to have to suffer through it again because she's gonna experience it for the first time, and he's going to have to
explain it
to her, and and he's going to cause her pain, and just that he wants to. His desperation in that he wants to fix the situation before he has to do that, which could be if not worse than losing Connor, it will certainly be just as bad.
Yeah, it's reliving the situation, and also it makes it real. Like it's still him in denial.
Yeah,
that if he tells Cordelia, then it's like he's really gone.
Yes. And he's also inflicting pain upon Cordelia, who he loves.
Yes.
More. Yeah, Cordelia is the one person that he loves more or equal to Connor.
Maybe not equal to, but in a different way, sure.
Yeah, well, in a different way. I think it's the same level of
emotional passion.
Investment. Yeah, it's just different. Yeah. It's obviously different. It's obviously different kinds of love. Thank God. But yeah.
All right. So, what did you end up giving this?
I ended up giving it a 64, which is pretty much just balancing out how much I don't like Justine and Sajan's parts, and how overly confusing I find Sajan, with the good stuff that is Angel and Fred and Gunn. So yeah. That's a 64. Nothing more, nothing less.
See, yeah, it's close. I mean, we did our nitpicking of all the bad things at the beginning of the episode, which is a problem. It does kind of take you out of the episode, and it does kind of feel like they're trying to put the show back together, get it back on track in a way. So it still had some of the emotional weight that I was looking for, but just couldn't quite break the threshold of that. I ended up giving this a 68 out of 100.
Okay.
All right, and if you'd like to leave us some feedback, you can do so by commenting on the post at theangelrewatch.wordpress.com.
Or you can send an email at angelrewatch@gmail.com.
And call our voicemail number at 206-203-3276.
Or you can go to Tumblr, which is angelrewatch.tumblr.com, to see all the reviews archived there and the gifts of whatever episode we're watching that week.
We're available on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. While you're there, leave us a review. It really helps promote the show. You can follow me on Twitter at NerdGuyWilliam.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at TheComforter.
And next time, we'll be reviewing Double or Nothing. When a demon that Gunn once sold his soul to comes to collect on the debt, Angel, Gru, Fred, and Cordelia help to save him.